What is something that in real life is far more horrific than the way it is depicted in movies? Drowning is silent. Hitting someone in the head to make them unconscious. The act would more likely cause brain damage or death. This might not be horrifying to the extent of others' comments, but overhead welding without long sleeves fucking sucks. Movies are always showing someone welding with bad-ass ripped sleeves and tight jeans. It literally burns you with the sparks, or molten filler metal can drip down on you. Sometimes you catch on fire, and then there's the getting sunburned from the light it makes. Don't get me started on the fumes that cause neurological problems in later years. Next time you see a welder, ask them to show you their scars. We all have good ones with stories. I know all of mine. I was wearing the right clothes and equipment and still have burns that turned into scars. Death, animal and human. Movies and shows make it tame and almost graceful. I've only seen one death like that. Every other has smells and sounds that still haunt me to this day. Gunshot wounds. In the movies, people just jump back up and keep on going like nothing happened. In real life there is typically a lot of screaming. If they're still conscious, puking, broken bones, limb paralysis, and even wetting, soiling of pants. For anything other than a simple flesh wound, it's not pretty. CPR. War. Cancer. It sucks the lifeblood from not only the one who has it, but all loved ones around them. Gonna have to go with childbirth. I'm convinced the only reason any woman has more than one kid is because their mind somehow blocks out the memories of labor and childbirth. Strangling someone. I watched something that reenacted how long it takes someone to die from asphyxiation. You gotta be fucked up to be able to look someone in the eyes for that long while killing them. And the effects of chloroform. It takes quite a bit longer to render someone unconscious via inhalation than is depicted in movies and on TV. Bullying. Domestic violence. Overdosing. Finding somebody dead. Grief. Being alone. Sometimes you don't heal. Digging the hole and burying something or someone you love by yourself. After burying a dog, I feel for those who have had to bury a loved one. For one thing, the body is bloated and stiff and smelly and oozing. For another, you're heartbroken while burying this stiff, smelly, bloated, oozing body you love. Hangings. In movies, it's just 2 seconds wriggling. In real life, it's minutes of torture and strangling and choking and jerking. Work. It only lasts a few scenes in movies. Car crashes. Making a phone call. Shotguns. Unfortunately, I found out they don't just fall over, they kinda explode into mice meat. Snapping someone's neck. No, it won't instantly kill you. It'll be horrifically painful and the person will most likely survive, albeit crippled. Seeing a dead person in the daylight. The skin changes so quickly. Rape. What's something a partner wanted to try that freaked you out at first but now you're into it? Breaking up. We haven't talked in years and it's amazing. Emotional intimacy. Premarital eye contact. I was really scared to ask my wife to try prostate play with me. Now it's her favorite way to give me handjobs. Choking. I didn't like the idea of it, but one girl really wanted me to do it, and seeing how much she was into it was enough for me to be into it. And avocados. Mods. No joke. I grew up with Play Honestly or It Doesn't Count, and even just upgrading graphics felt weird to me. Then he showed me Skyrim via mods and I'm in a throuple with Lucian Flavius and Inigo the Brave, destroying anything that stands in our way. I'm falling in love with the game all over again. My last girlfriend was really into biting my lips when we'd make out, and she's the only one woman I've ever kissed who's done that, and I kinda miss it. I got her into having her ass grabbed, though. Literally nobody had ever made comments about liking her ass before. Tears of joy. Wouldn't say I'm into it exactly, but an ex a long time ago wanted to give me a rim job. Begged and begged, bargained and threw fits. She's a strange one, is the absolute nicest way to say it, was actually a bit pleasurable. Needless to say, she kept trying to go further with it and experiment more and more, and now nobody's allowed down there. Masturbating during video calls. Girl that I dated a long time ago liked to stick her fingers in my butt while we had sex or while she jerked me off. At first I freaked out, but eventually learned to love it. That was a long time ago. No one has played with my lonely pooper since. This is going to sound weird. But meatloaf. Eating meatloaf was not a thing I did until I met my partner. Not having sex at all. Now I work 80-hour workweeks and it's great. Fiscal responsibility. Bondage kinda stuff. Impact play. Some pretty hardcore role-play themes. Before I was with her, I was super vanilla guy. And honestly, 8 times out of 10, vanilla is still the preference for me. Good sex is amazing, either way. But if I have a partner who is into all that other stuff, I find it fun to indulge sometimes now. Definitely got into it with her. It's not my favorite, but it's fun as a way to switch it up a bit. Ultimately being with her took me from being a really vanilla guy to a fairly sometimes kinky guy. Being domineering. She straight up could not orgasm without some sort of physical or verbal domination. All the regular things like choking, hair pulling, spanking and smacking around was like mild for her. She wanted to be tied up, blindfolded and just used like a life-size fuck doll with no emotions. One time during a very hard anal session, she started bleeding. Now I understood her wants, but when I draw blood from an act of sex, I pretty much take that as a safe word. So I stopped and told her she was bleeding, and before I could even explain she yelled back in some sort of demonic possession voice, "Put it back in and fuck me till you cum in my ass like a man." That made me want to tone it up a notch permanently. He wanted me to spit in his mouth when we were having sex. Took me a while to work up the courage cause it felt weird and kind of degrading or something. But the times I went for it, he was so visibly into it. Still I could take it or leave it, but I came to appreciate the feeling of dominance and the sudden increase in passion it brought about. Fisting, at first it weirded me out and I felt like a shit ventriloquist, but seeing her get pleasure from it made me get into it. Cuddling. No joke, he was so doubtful that it'd do anything and now we do it every time we meet. Anal. Now I finger his bum too. Bondage.